Hi, welcome. How are you? My name is Jeff Smith. I'm the Frugal Gourmet, and today we're going to cook in paper. Paper looks like a new gimmick in the kitchen, but it's really not. It goes back into Chinese history. They invented just about everything you can possibly imagine that's helpful and creative in our kitchen, certainly many, many cooking techniques. And I'll show you the kind of thing we're going to do today, primarily the paper. That's very important. What we're going to use is a parchment. And a parchment paper is simply a paper that has been oiled. Do not use cellophane. Do not use cheap stationery. Do not use tissue. Be sure you use good parchment. You can buy this in any gourmet shop, hardware store, supermarkets sometimes have it. But if you buy it in a stationery store, it's going to cost you too much money. It's going to be very expensive. Parchment, you see? Nothing to it. Okay, let's begin. The first one I want to do for you is a chicken in a paper sack. Roll them up in parchment first. It's a French dish, and it's so simple it's absurd. When you buy a chicken, remember now that the fat of the chicken is primarily on the skin. So pick out the big blobs of fat that are in the bottom of the chicken, you see? And if you're on a real diet, you can skin the whole bird. But in this case, I'm simply going to throw them in a bowl. This is not what you call a complicated dish. And we're going to add a couple cloves of garlic. Now, when you peel garlic, remember that you can do this very quickly, thusly. You watch me closely now. You see, you just, there, get some room here for you. Lean in on the garlic. Lean on it, and the whole thing will come apart, unless you're doing this in front of a lot of people there. Now it's apart. Then you select one clove and crush it with a cleaver or knife. Be sure and aim your knife down. You don't want to cut yourself, right? And you see how easily the garlic will come right out of the package of paper, literally, a little parchment which is on the garlic. There he is. All right, we have enough garlic. And if you'll notice this gimmick, I have a garlic press here for you that's just terrific. You've seen it before. But I keep mine in water during the day when I'm cooking so that I don't have to keep cleaning it. Isn't that sneaky? You see, being frugal in the kitchen means that you're frugal with your time as well as with your cooking equipment and your food. It doesn't mean you're cheap. It means that you don't waste anything. And we certainly don't want to waste time. All right, enough garlic. We have a good fat clove of garlic, perhaps two if you like, in our pot. We're going to add a bit of olive oil now. Let's see. I have all my oils in wine bottles here so that it looks suspicious for you. Isn't that good? A little bit of olive oil, just a tablespoon or two. And then we want to add a bit of thyme, and I like whole thyme. Let's see, where we got the thyme here? Thyme. I don't let anybody grind my herbs and spices ahead of time. I do it myself. And let's try some salt and pepper, huh? Very little salt. You won't need much salt on this dish. Just a sprinkle and some good freshly cracked pepper. And I use my own mill. I don't like someone else to grind it. Remember that line before? Okay. And we'll need some lemon juice, and that's the whole recipe. Lots of pepper. Here's a gimmick for you. This is a lemon reamer. Cut the lemon in half, and there's the juice. Isn't that a scream? Isn't that a riot? You don't have to worry about it. You see, save some time and save some money. These will cost you about $5, and they'll save you a lot of time and a lot of fooling around. All right, the dish is ready to go. Let me get the garlic out of the way here, and I'll show you how we're going to wrap him up, because he's great fun. The other advantage of this kind of cooking is that you won't have any dirty pots and pans. Isn't that sneaky? It's not a small gimmick, huh? Here he is. We'll put some parchment paper on the board. There we go. And I'll need some aluminum, too. So let's toss the bird first. Let me give you the recipe again so that you can write this down. Or if you prefer, later on we'll tell you how to get recipes from us. It's very easy. In any case, we have marinated our chicken for just a short time in olive oil, a little bit of garlic, a pinch of thyme, some salt and pepper, and a bit of lemon juice, fresh squeezed, of course. And we'll wrap the bird up now. There he goes. I think I want to put some more of this dressing on him. There he is. Wrap him up tight. You see? There. My hands are covered with garlic and olive oil and lemon juice. I smell better than the chicken. Let me wash my hands off here. Excuse me. I need to get a paper sack now. What you want to do is just buy a paper sack from the supermarket. You know, they're marked luncheon bags or something. And a luncheon sack, a paper sack for carrying your lunch, is exactly the size you want for cooking one whole chicken French style. What did I do with them? Here we are. French style in your oven. Nothing to it. Here we go. You see, what we're going to do is use the paper sack to hold the parchment around the bird. Isn't this a crazy way to cook? It's a very old method. Chinese invented this too. The Chinese would then wrap this up in wet clay and then roll it around in a fire until the clay is done. You know, the clay is dry, and then the clay is knocked off, and the feathers come with the clay, and you have a bird inside. It was called beggar's chicken. But I'm going to do it French style, and I'm going to wrap it up with a little bit of aluminum foil and pop it in about a 375-degree oven. It'll take about an hour and 15 minutes to cook. You see, nothing to this. There you go. Here he is. You can write his name on the outside. You can do anything you want to him. And we'll chuck him in the oven. Let me show you what he looks like. I've got one in the oven now. Let's take him out and see what happens. I hope he's done. We'll just see what he looks like. Ouch. Don't ever put hot things on your board, because you'll cook the food that is seeped into the board, and pretty soon the board will smell. You know that horrible odor. Don't tell me your board doesn't done that to you. You know it's just a terrible thing, but it happens. Let's see if he's done. I may have to leave him in the oven a little bit more. We'll just check him out here. See, I have one all ready to go. He's not quite finished. Let's put him back in the oven for just a short time. About 1 hour and 15 minutes at 375 should do the job, unless he's a big fat one, and this one certainly is. Excuse me, let's chuck him right in here. Okay. There we go. We'll have a chance to see him shortly. All right, chicken and paper. Now let's do another dish, and this time we're going to use an even more classic French method of cooking. I want to saute some fish slices, which are right here. Let me show you what I have. Nice and fresh. Get our pans going. And I want you to remember that when you're cooking, please don't put oil in your pan until the pan is hot. It's just a very bad habit, because you'll burn the oil before the pan is up to temperature, you see? So don't do that. Put the pan on the stove, heat the pan first, then put the oil in. And I'm using peanut oil for this one. And at the same time, and we're going to brown our fish for just a minute in a little bit of peanut oil, maybe a shot of butter if you want to make it a little rich. Then I'm going to also make a mirepoix of vegetables, which simply means a mixture of chopped vegetables. We'll do that in another pan here, and we'll light them up. I'm using gas and a little electric stick here to keep me going. It works great. I much prefer it to electricity. Okay, pans are ready. Now, let me give you the, let's pick out the fish here that we want. We're going to wrap these up in paper, too. 2 nice fillets. Wow. I've got to put some wax paper on my board. If you, here's some. If you cut fish on your board, you know what's going to happen. It's going to stink again. We've got one stinky board going here today, haven't we? Got to be careful with these things. Otherwise, you're buying boards all the time and wasting your time and your money, and you just needn't do that. We'll just do a couple of small fillets. These 2 will do fine. All right. And we're going to brown those very, very quickly. And in the meantime, we're going to prepare a mirepoix of vegetables consisting of celery, grated celery or chopped fine, onions. That's not the onion, that's the carrot. Here's the onion. Thanks for correcting me. Cut it out. There we are. Now, let's add some garlic to this, too. My garlic clove is all, my presser is all ready. Remember, keep it in water. Put some olive oil or peanut oil in the pan. We're doing these 2 separate pans now. You understand, I'm sauteing the vegetables separately. And we'll get the olive oil and the garlic, or the peanut oil and the garlic in here going first of all. You can use peanut oil if you want a lighter flavor. Use garlic if you want a heavier flavor. There we are. And we'll saute this very quickly. It'll have a marvelous odor. I wish you were here to smell it. Let's try a good stiff pinch of, half a handful of carrots, a whole handful of onions, and about the same amount, half a handful of celery. And we have now what the French call a mirepoix of vegetables, which means we can keep it in our refrigerator and use it for seasoning and blending anytime we'd like in our cooking. The herb blend that we're going to add to this, you better get your pencil now, this may be complicated for you. The herb blend that we're going to put into our delicious mirepoix consists of the following. I have it all written out here for you, and you can just jot it all down. I've made one already. It's right here. What you want to blend is the following items. You want to put a little bit of cracked pepper in your bowl. Throw in about 3 bay leaves. This is a very versatile blend of herbs you can use in your kitchen for all sorts of good things. 3 bay leaves, a half teaspoon of oregano, and then a 1/4 teaspoon of the following other items. 1/4 teaspoon of marjoram, sweet basil, savory, rosemary, and thyme. Sounds like a good song, doesn't it? Pepper, bay leaves, oregano, and then 1/4 teaspoon of all of the rest of these. Marjoram, sweet basil, savory, rosemary, and thyme. I'm going to put a good stiff pinch of this into my vegetables, which are sauteing nicely now. And saute means that you're going to cause them to jump. Saute is from the French word sauteur. You see, they just jump about. Isn't this fun? A good French chef, you see, wouldn't have enough time to run around scraping his pans with paddles and things. You don't want to do that. Just make them jump about. So we have a mirepoix. It'll be done in just a minute. Now, let's get the fish in here. Now, just a tiny bit of butter for flavoring in my other pan. Where's the paper, you're saying? Be patient. I'll get to the paper in a minute. Right now, we're doing the browning and the preparation for our fish in paper. It's a classic French dish that really, I think, came originally from the Chinese. All right, in go the fillets. Very carefully. You certainly don't want to overcook them. It'll take just a moment. And now, while we're waiting for that to cook, let me show you how to cut the paper that we're going to be using today to wrap up our fish. We want a chunk of, whoops, well, I'm glad we got another one here. And then we got a chunk of, we're going to have to use this one. I just dropped it and I was trying to get away with it. Trying to get away without rolling it back up, but that won't work. Let's do this, huh? There. These things happen in your kitchen too, so just calm down. Though you probably don't make as big a mess as I do. There we are. Now, we'll cut the paper, not so much, and fold it in half. Take a pair of scissors. Whoops, time to turn the fish. Don't want to overdo that. Remember? There we go. Just barely, you don't want to cook this. You're just threatening it a bit, you see? Check the mirepoix. That's about done. Okay. And now, let's make a heart. We're going to cut a heart out of our paper. This is really kind of fun to do, and the kids get into it. You know, I'm really committed to cooking crazy things for your children. I want them to enjoy themselves too. Okay. There you go, you see? Come to me. We're all ready. We have a nice heart here. You see? That's what we need. Okay, now we're going to butter. Just put a tiny bit of butter on your paper on just one side. You see what I'm doing? On one side of the heart, this will be the inside, I place a bit of butter. Now I'm going to put one of the fish fillets on the paper. Isn't that a marvelous sound? Oh, cooking is just such great fun. And on the top of that, this is a very low-calorie dish. Have you caught on? We're just using vegetables and fish, you see? Nouvelle nothing. This is just first-class stuff, and it's a good dish. Put a bit of our sautéed vegetables with herbs right on the top. There we go. Now then we'll wrap him up. And here's the clue now. You watch this, will you? We're going to start at the top of the heart. Get the butter off my fingers here. Start at the top of the heart and simply fold the paper under. See, I'm just twisting, bend under, twist, you see? And so go clear around the other side here. There you go. You got that one? And this is a snap. Let me show you something. You may laugh at me, and yes, of course, you've seen this in a French restaurant. But you know how they blow it up, make it look so big? Are you ready? All right, be sure the edges are sealed up tightly. Now watch this trick, will you? Talk about kicks in the kitchen. All right, I'm going to blow it up. You see? Here we go. Oh, you didn't think I could do that. You didn't think I would do it. Well, there it is. Now this goes on a greased baking sheet, and we're going to put it, you see it seals up fine. Isn't that marvelous? We're going to put this on a greased baking sheet and bake several of these, you see, for your whole family or your friends at about 375 to 400 for just about 10 minutes at maximum, maybe even less, just until the top browns and the fish is ready to serve. Yes, you can make these ahead of time. That's the point. Make them ahead of time, have them all ready to go. You'll have a whole sheet full of these. Let me show you what I mean.